We spend so much of our lives asking for a sign, asking for God, the universe, source to show us that it's time to move on from where we are, right? It's time to move on, to move forward, to let go of the old, to let go of the very thing that we have been feeling is weighing upon us. And yet, when that sign comes and it's direct, for some reason, we don't want to listen. Well, I got news for you. This right here is a sign. It's one of those. And you may think to yourself, okay, maybe I'll look this up, or maybe I found it on my feed. How can that be a sign? That's just the algorithm. You got to understand that the universe is made in a way where we attract the very things that we truly have a deeply resounding connection to. The things that we're calling out and yearning for in our spirit are being called towards us continuously. And so when you find something that resonates with you exactly where you are, it's for a reason. It's not a coincidence that you find one piece of content out of millions upon millions of pieces of content being created, and that one piece of content is speaking directly to you. And this right now is your sign right here, right now. It is time to move on. It's time to heal. Now, you've been holding on to that relationship for far too long. And you know that. Like, don't nobody have to tell you. The people around you have been trying to tell you. The people that you love most have been trying to warn you and then tell you and been pleading with you. But I'm not here to beg. I'm not here to plead because I have no agenda either than just telling you the damn truth. And that truth is you have been holding on because you have been afraid of what's on the other side. You become so comfortable with the misery that you know that the joy that you will experience on the other side frightens you. You have been so deeply conditioned and programmed into believing that there is something here for you, something in this chaos, something in this toxicity for you. Maybe if you stick it out just a little longer, they'll change. Maybe if you just wait a little, maybe if you just wait a little bit, maybe you're just patient. Maybe you need to try hard. I done heard it all. I done heard reasons as far as why people stayed when they were getting their ass beat. I've been in situations where I've seen individuals getting their head slammed in the doors or being cussed out 10 ways till Tuesday, and they still are looking for a reason as to why they should stay around. And I promise you, the only reason you are staying around is because you have become comfortable in your misery. You have become comfortable in the pain that you know, and so you fear deeply, deeply even the peace that you do not know. And I'm not going to lie to you and say, as soon as you step into that peace, it's going to be honky dory. You're going to feel like $1,000,000. No, you're going to be uncomfortable in that space. But that doesn't mean you're not supposed to be in that space. Just because the peace feels different, because it feels uncomfortable, because it feels uncertain, just because what you're stepping into, the promised land that you are now stepping into, does not feel familiar, does not mean you are not supposed to be there. You are fighting on multiple fronts. You are fighting in the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Now, the conscious mind has the desire for more, desire for greater. The conscious mind wants to leave what you're in and step into your destiny. But the subconscious has all the programs, all the conditioning. Ever since before you came onto this planet, before you were born, generations upon generations passed down in their DNA the fear of the unknown, the fear of stepping into that promised land. Why do you think the likes of an Abraham was the only one in his entire family to move away from where they were, to step into the unknown and to claim that promised land? His daddy was called. Probably his granddaddy was called. Great granddaddy was called. Everybody else down the way was called. And yet he said, you know what? I'm about to listen to this call in my spirit. I'm listening to this call in my spirit because I know that what I have been in, this generational cycle, this pattern of destructiveness, this pattern of toxicity, it's not working for me anymore. And it never was here to serve me. Yes, all things are going to be used for the greater good, but this was never meant for me. This was within my own programming, my own belief system. This is not truth for me. This is an ingrained program of fear, of unworthiness, of undeservedness. This is fear acting in the place of me. And I've called it me for so long that I started to believe that this is me. You know, it's so funny when we start to realize who we truly are, when we start to become aware of what's going on under this hood of the car that we call our life. And we start to really look at things and make sense of things. We start to realize that who we thought we were was not who we were. What we thought we were is not what we thought we were. And there's a lot of folks, religious as all get out, right? They done read the Bible 10 ways till Tuesday, and yet they are the most disconnected from the true source of life. Those who read the Quran a million ways till Monday, and they still have such a disassociation from the true creator of this life. The greatest revelation that I ever came down to was that I do not know God. I know religion, but I don't know God. I knew religion down, up, back, and forth. I used it as a way to appease and please the people around me. But once I stepped out of that and I was just me with me now because I was going through suffering and I was going through the tumultuous situations, nobody could fix them for me. Daddy, mommy, nobody could do anything for what I was going through internally. Once I had that moment and it was just me and me, something clicked. And I quickly realized I was living as fear. I was embodying fear and believing that as me. And I was justified in that fear. You understand me? I was so justified. I was so convinced that I was the one taking those actions. I was so convinced that I was the one who truly desired to stay in the toxicity of those relationships. I was the one who was convinced that this is what I deserved, that this is what God was using to test me. When in reality, it was me moving off of my fear-based programming, period. Point blank. And so I had to accept, I had to come to terms with the reality and the truth. Let me use that better word. I had to come to the acceptance of the truth. And that truth was, it was time for me to move on. It was time for me to move from where I was comfortable, the pain that I knew best. And it was time for me to move into my promised land, the place that was uncertain, the place where there may have been giants dwelling, where I might have had to fight a battle in order for me to conquer that land. But the battle was not against people, was not against flesh and blood. That battle that I was going to be fighting for my soul was a battle for my mind. It was who is going to control my mind, what is going to have dominion over my mind. Is a whole bunch of foolishness on this, or a whole bunch of holiness on this, a whole bunch of divinity on this, a whole bunch of connection to source? What was gonna control my life? Was it going to be the past that I was used to, or the future that was destined for me, that was written into the fabric of life? What was I going to remain in? And so I had to make a decision for myself, for the first time as myself, to say, I am willing to do whatever it takes to get my mind back. I am willing to heal from who I believe I am. And so when I say that it is time for you to move on and it is time for you to heal, even if you are going through physical ailments right now, we are now in a day and age where we're coming to finally understand what spirituality has taught us from the very beginning of time. And that is, there is no physical manifestation without a spiritual reasoning. There is always an unseen reason for the seen things. If you're somebody who thinks you're so scientific and dignified, think about this. What around you in your environment did not start as a thought? Name one thing in your environment. And you might be thinking, well, grass. Okay, then where did that come from? And then we can go all the way back. Everything starts from the unseen. Therefore, when you have a physical ailment, and I would recommend that anybody watching this make sure to look up Gabor Mate, Gabor space Mate. And he comes from the traditional medical homeopathic space, and he transitioned into truth, which is what I'm going to call it because that's what it is, which is the fact that our diseases, our ailments are caused by undealt with traumas, with our programming and conditioning that has been preset into fear. And the only way we truly heal from within is not the pills, it's not the medications, it's not the treatments. It's from healing within ourselves. It's from letting go of that past programming. It's by becoming aware and doing the inner work. forgiveness, acceptance of self and others, reflection, letting go, choosing different thoughts and emotional experiences, the true work that most of us avoid, the work that you have been avoiding up to this very point. The work that you said, well, I tried that and it didn't work. The reason it didn't work is because you didn't work it. You never said, oh, well, I went to class one time, but I didn't get my degree. Are you kidding me? You work so damn hard for the job that you're at, but when it comes time to invest into you, you barely make a few minutes out the day. Nah, I'm turning up for a reason today. I'm turning up for what today? Because far too many of us spend time on everything else external. We spend more time on our cars, more time on our grocery list, more time on our shopping list, more time on a TV set, more time on an iPhone than we do listening to ourselves, heeding the call within ourselves. And I am guilty as anybody. And that's why you see me doing what I'm doing now, because I was done. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. The causation of my sickness and my tiredness, my always feeling drained, the ailments, was because I was hiding from myself just as you have been. But I am here to tell you that you're being called out of that space and you're being tossed into Nineveh. If anybody doesn't know what that means, go look it up. You are Jonah right now. You're about to get swallowed up by a whale and you're going to end up in that promised land one way or another. So this is a message from you to you. You called this upon yourself. I was called, yes, to deliver it, but I am a mere messenger. You were called to this message right now, and it's time for you to do something about it. And nobody else can do it for you. Nobody.